Title: The Tunnel of No Return. Echoes of the Forgotten City. The air smelled of damp earth and despair. Juan, with his yellowish helmet and flickering headlamp, advanced through the tunnel. He was one of the city hall workers assigned to inspect the old drainage system beneath the city, a labyrinth forgotten by time, a place where maps were useless and compasses, a joke. He had been going deeper for 3 hours, further than the original blueprints indicated. The routine, which had once seemed tedious, now chilled him to the bone. The silence was dense, oppressive, only interrupted by the echo of his own footsteps and the constant dripping of water seeping through the brick walls. At first, there were only sensations, a sudden chill, the feeling of being watched. Then, the sounds began, indecipherable whispers, the dragging of chains, the distant echo of children's laughter that broke into sobs. One attributed it to suggestion, to fatigue, to the stories the old workers told about the tunnel, trapped souls, specters of laborers who had lost their lives in cave-ins and been forgotten by the city they now supported. But then, the voice. "Don't go on. You won't get out," it resonated in his head, clear, guttural, as if someone were speaking in his ear. He stopped dead, his heart pounding in his chest. He looked around, scanning the darkness with the light of his lantern. Nothing. Only the damp walls, the implacable darkness, and the silence, now even more menacing. "Is anyone there?" he shouted, his voice trembling. The echo returned his words, distorted, mocking. He felt ridiculous, vulnerable. He decided it was the stress. He should turn back. But when he turned around, the tunnel behind him had changed. It was no longer the same straight corridor he had traveled. Now, it forked in 3 directions, each one darker and narrower than the last. Confusion overwhelmed him. How was it possible? He remembered the path perfectly. He tried to stay calm. He checked his map, useless. The compass spun out of control, as if possessed. He knew he was lost, trapped in the subterranean labyrinth. He started running, choosing a tunnel at random. He ran aimlessly, shouting for help, but his voice was lost in the immensity of the tunnel. As he advanced, the hallucinations worsened. Shadows danced on the walls, disfigured faces watched him from the sewers, bony hands tried to grab his ankles. In one of the tunnels, he found something that froze his blood, an inscription engraved on the wall in what appeared to be dried blood. "Abandon all hope, ye who enter here." The phrase, taken directly from Dante's Inferno, paralyzed his soul. He continued forward, no longer out of hope, but out of pure survival instinct. Each step was torture, each sound a threat. The tunnel seemed to breathe, to throb with a life of its own, a dark and malevolent life. Suddenly, he came to a circular chamber. In the center, there was a huge pile of human bones, illuminated by a spectral light emanating from the walls. The air was unbreathable, charged with a nauseating smell of rotten flesh and sulfur. At the top of the pile of bones, sitting like a king on his throne, he saw a figure. It was humanoid, but grotesque, deformed, with grayish skin and eyes sunk into darkness. A macabre smile spread across its face as it saw Juan. "Welcome," the figure said with a voice that seemed to come from the depths of the earth. "You have reached the end of your journey." Juan tried to flee, but his legs wouldn't respond. He was paralyzed by terror. The figure rose from its throne of bones and approached him, dragging its feet. "We have been waiting for you," the creature whispered, with a smile that showed teeth as sharp as knives. "Now, you will join us. You will be one of us. You will be part of this tunnel forever." The creature extended a bony hand towards Juan. Juan closed his eyes, expecting the worst. But instead of feeling the touch of the hand, he heard a deafening roar. He opened his eyes. The creature had disappeared. The pile of bones had crumbled. The chamber had changed. Now, it was a normal tunnel, illuminated by a dim light. Confused, Juan got up and walked towards the light. He came to an exit. He climbed a ladder and found himself on a city street. He was disoriented. He didn't recognize the place. Everything seemed different, strange. People looked at him with strangeness. He approached a man and asked him where he was. The man looked at him in disbelief. "You are in the center of the city," he replied. "Have you been drinking?" Juan didn't understand anything. How could it be the city center? He had entered the tunnel on the outskirts. He took out his phone to call his supervisor, but he had no signal. He tried to search on the map, but the application didn't work. Suddenly, he saw a poster on a wall. It was an advertisement from the city hall, with a photo of the workers of the drainage system. He looked for his face in the photo, but he didn't find it. He approached a group of people who were looking at the poster. He asked them if they knew him. They shook their heads. "Who are you?" A woman asked him. "I've never seen you in my life." Juan felt a chill run through his body. He realized that he had disappeared. He had been erased from existence. He was no one anymore. He looked at the poster again. In the photo, where his face should be, there was only a blank space. He understood what had happened. The tunnel was not just a subterranean labyrinth. It was something else. It was a prison, a purgatory, a place where lost souls were trapped forever. And he, now, was one of them. Juan felt the urge to run, to escape. But he knew it was useless. The tunnel had claimed him. He was part of it now, forever. He turned and looked towards the darkness. He saw the shadows dancing, the disfigured faces watching him. He heard the whispers, the laments, the macabre laughter. And then, he heard the voice, clear and strong, resonating in his head. Welcome home.